Welcome back to another video. My name is Abby and today we're talking about how to surrender your past. Now, if you're new here and you want to amplify your self-awareness, go ahead and start right now by clicking the subscribe button, hit the bell so you won't miss anything. So, how do you surrender your past? Well, first I'm going to assume that past, if you're watching this video, is not really that easy, and there's something about it that you feel hooked onto or anchored to that you can't get away from. So I want to look at the etymology of the word surrender. What are we even talking about? Well, surrender means to hand something over. Sur comes from over, S-U-R, and rende means to give back. Another way you can look at this is to give oneself up. Why is this important about your past? The reason that this is important is we have what you call a cybernetic mechanism. That is a fancy word for self-image. Whatever it is that we see ourselves to be, we will act in those barriers, those confinements. An easy cybernetic mechanism to see is a thermostat. You never see a thermostat set at 72 acting out in 85 degrees or maybe even 60 degrees unless something's wrong with it. It wants to, in a fully functioning way, to stay in those parameters, whether it be 72 or 68. If it gets too far out of those boundaries, something kicks on and gets it back on course. Now, depending upon your past, why it's important to surrender it is because that past is giving you a self-image that is keeping you from the desired experience that you want right now. We create stories about our experiences and we weave that into the fabric of our self-image, and then we move through the world with that idea in our head. It is not necessarily what happened to you, but how you relate to what happened. Think about your past right now. Was it one specific painful experience that you've been through? Was it an accumulation of multiple ways that you felt rejected? Or maybe some authority figure taught you over and over that you're not worth very much. You've taken that experience and you've given it a meaning. There's something called fabulation, and what that means is basically, even in your best intent, you're not actually able to recall factually what happened. In fact, Eric Kandel, who's a neurobiologist, said that 50% of our memories aren't even real, meaning that there's alterations or adjustments on them. Did you know that when you access a memory, well, it's not isolated and distant from you, you're actually able to interact with it. So if you're in a really bad mood and you start thinking about this really terrible thing that happened to you 5, 10, 15 years ago, even a week ago, whatever your emotional state is right now, you will then influence that memory. So when you close it out and you think about it in the future, the residue of that emotional, angst that you're having right now, you will feel in the future. So you take that memory, you're combining it with all these other emotions as you rethink about it over the years. So 10 years in your future, you think about this thing, think about how powerfully charged, and most likely in a negative way, that memory will be. It is absolutely crucial to realize the power and magnitude that your past can have on you right now, and the detrimental effects that every time you open a memory that's not positive, that really hurts you, you're influencing it with what's happening right now. And in the future, if you continually allow it to influence your cybernetic mechanism, your self-image, you will have a much distorted version of yourself and view of yourself than is actually real or that has actually happened in the world. Like I mentioned earlier, surrendering means to hand over something. So we're gonna hand over the past. The first thing you have to do is become aware of the story that you're telling right now. How are you identifying with that? What meaning are you giving that in your life right now? I actually experienced this firsthand on how I needed to become aware of a story that I was telling and the impact and meaning it had in my life. And it was when I failed to make the 2008 Olympic team. I could not have been closer, and I got hurt right before the Olympic trials. Made a world championship team, everything was looking great, and I got injured a month before, and then another injury happened a week before. And I remember still sitting on that track. My dream that I had had for 20 years, basically every second is realizing it didn't happen. The story I told about that experience and what it meant about me was that I was a failure, that I was a loser, that I didn't have anything else to add to this world, that was it. I had my chance and I lost it, what now? And it was such a negative view of myself. I never saw that I was that good in the world and that I was that close to hitting such a level. All I saw is I didn't do it. I didn't make it. So it took me 7 to 10 years to transform that story and to start to see what a benefit that was, and to see what kind of a person it took for me to even get there, and what I could now share with people about transformation, about not identifying themselves solely with one thing in life, but realizing we are continually evolving and we get to have multiple lifetimes in this lifetime. So once I started to change the story of that and to change the meaning in my life, I began to embrace that experience and to now be able to share with you that failure isn't the end. That was just a step to help me see where I'm going in the future. It leads us to the second step on how you can surrender your past. You can have the gratitude for the experience and to understand what it has taught you and how it got you to where you are now. Rather than seeing that Olympic failure as complete disruption of my dream, I saw it as it's something that is actually going to help me in the future. It showed me that I can work really, really hard and get really focused, and no matter if somebody believes in me or not, I know that I can execute. And even though I fell just short of that goal, in the big picture, I made it way further than most people do. And looking back, I can see, wow, I have a gift of persistence, determination, and the ability to constantly reinvent my self-image. Remember that every single moment of your life is an opportunity for you to tell a new story. And what is that story right now? What have you been telling yourself about the past? Only one version can exist. Just the same as that you can't listen to 2 songs at the same time and really get the full experience. So with your old song, when you're becoming aware, you have to be able to turn that off and start in the new song and listening to it. What is it that you want to play? What song is it that you have and you want to have in this new experience? How do you want to shift and retell your story? The third way that you can surrender your past and free yourself to something that you want to experience is, I mentioned it earlier, that when you open a memory, you have the ability to manipulate and change and alter it. So you can have that in a negative way if you dwell on it and have a lot of negative feelings. However, you can also do it in a positive way. You can open up that memory, realizing the importance and the significance as you're thinking about that memory, and you can re-reason on it. You can change that meaning, and you can look and see what person you would be to believe it in the way you're thinking now, and what you need to believe about that situation. So reverse engineer. If you want to be this other version of yourself who pushes hard, who doesn't let failure interrupt their life, who has had a lot of loss but understands that there are great things in life still to experience, and being able to have that pain and to transmute it into wisdom, you can now give and share and actually feel more deeply with other people. Realize that when you access those memories, you get a chance to retell it, not in a victim way, not in a powerless way, but as somebody who participated in that, maybe unwillingly, yet what is the power that it gave you? Was that the end of your dream, or simply a new beginning for something even greater? Remember, the story that you tell and the meaning that you give about your past is the entire foundation for who you believe you are. If you believe that you're consciously creating your life, or do you believe that things have happened to you and they've bumped you off and they've ruined your life? Whatever you believe, it is true, because you will look through your RAS, and your brain will filter out everything else that proves that's not true, and it will find the experiences electromagnetically. You will send out that signal into the universe, and you will draw back time and time and time again. If you want to be surrounded by people who take advantage of you, or you find yourself in a powerless situation, if you choose now to reinvent that, if you choose now to retell the story about what your past is, surrender, give up who you were, and tell the story about empowered you. Tell the story that you are not done, that that dream is still yet to come. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please hit like. It will help share this information, and I will see you on the next one.